ready.
What is up, baseball fans? Kris here, aka Snaggle J, community and content developer for Out of the Park Baseball, back with our very hotly publicized and anticipated Hall of Fame show. I am very happy to be here, and I am very happy to be joined by the same two gentlemen that took this venture down the lane with me last year as well. First up, the man who eats, sleeps, breathes, talks about baseball, the incomparable Mr. Paul Sporer. Welcome to the show, Paul. I'm very happy that you are here. How you doing, buddy?
I am doing quite well. Thank you so much for having me on. I love talking about the Hall of Fame and debating it. We've got 3 new entrants. I'm really excited, and frankly, can't wait to see what you and the team came up with as far as the cards.
Oh, we've put our heart and soul into these bad boys. We had a very action-packed show last year with 6 inductees total. The 2 veterans, Smith and Baines, the 4-person class, little smaller class this year, but pretty fun impact. We're gonna have a lot of fun on this show, and of course, we are here with the man who eats, sleeps, and breathes office work, the incomparable Richard Grisham. Rich, always a pleasure to share the content stage with you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I have never met a pivot table or a content chart that I haven't enjoyed, and I am very
hit
happy
those
to be here.
KPIs.
Very
hit
happy
those
to be here.
KPIs, Rich. Come on.
You got it, man. So happy to be here with both of you guys. This is great. It's now officially a tradition. Let's do this thing. I'm excited.
Yes, it is going to be an action-packed show. We've got a lot of things planned. Obviously, the show is centered around our 3 brand new Hall of Famers who are players. Obviously, Marvin Miller getting in there through the Veterans Committee as a builder. Not going to have a card for Marvin Miller, but our hats are off to him for getting elected to the Hall of Fame. But we will be celebrating the careers of Ted Simmons, Larry Walker, and Derek Jeter throughout the program. We are also going to be giving away a prize of 100,000 perfect points later on in the stream. Stick around for that. We've got a special announcement coming up later too. Lots of speculation in the Discord as to what that special announcement would be. Nobody was even in the ballpark of close to what it actually is going to be. So we will be talking about that as well. Also, by the way, if Rich is wondering why people are congrating him on the giveaway, it's because I said in the Discord it was rigged and he was going to win. So, so as we did last year, let's jump in real quick and let's talk about the voting results themselves, which were revealed on Tuesday. I think it was a foregone conclusion that Derek Jeter was going to get in. The only thing that was left to chance was, would it be at 100% or at another number? We'll get to that in a minute. Obviously, the intrigue surrounding Larry Walker, he was trending beforehand just under 84%. A lot of polls or pollsters or prognosticators had him coming in under. A lot had him coming in over. It was kind of a 50-50 split. But either way, they both got elected. Paul, so here's the 2 questions. I know you've talked about this on Twitter and on your streams. 1, what do you think of the whole Jeter coming 1 vote shy of unanimous? And 2, did you really think at 6:01 Eastern time that Walker was going to get in?
So on the first one, I got to be honest, I'm kind of glad that he didn't get unanimous for Jeter because it's funny to watch people be so upset about it. Because where was this energy for, literally the tens of other guys who have not been unanimous? Like I kind of knew this was going to happen when Mo Rivera became the first unanimous, is all of a sudden we're going to expect it for the icons. I really wasn't very comfortable with Mo getting it. Not to take anything away from him, but it means nothing. It could not mean less.
Yeah.
I've always felt like first ballot is pretty stupid as well. But I really think that the unanimous thing means absolutely nothing. Babe Ruth is not unanimous. Willie Mays is not. Ted Williams is not. I could go on and take up the entire show. at the laughable guys who aren't unanimous. So Derek Jeter not getting it, I do not care. And frankly, I'm glad. As far as Larry, I put a lot of faith in what the folks do out there. They do great work on collecting the public ballots and then doing the appropriate calculations with what the private ballots, and they're only private insofar they haven't been shared. They're not really different. It's just a matter of who's writing an article or talking about their ballot versus those who don't say anything. That's what they mean by private. I was concerned that because you do usually have to take it down a few notches. I was worried that Larry wasn't going to get in. I truly was. And frankly, I would have blamed Peter Gammons because he took him off of his list, and that was ridiculous. So
Yeah.
I don't know why you would vote for him. You got 10. I don't think it's as crowded as it's been in the past. Why he took him off his list, I don't really understand.
Yeah. So you gave a little shout out there. Obviously, Ryan Thibodeau and his team of ballot trackers, they do absolutely phenomenal work. Tracking ballots, tracking all of the different metrics. His link is in the chat if you're watching live here on Twitch. Definitely during Hall of Fame season is the absolute best follow out there for keeping track. We follow it very closely in trying to plan our content and stuff as well. But yeah, I agree. I had some not nice things to say about Peter Gammons on Twitter. Especially considering that in the closing moments of their preview show, when he was asked about who he thought was going to get in, he said he hoped Walker got in. And I posted on Twitter almost immediately, I hope he does too, but it won't be because of you. And that to me was really head scratching. Rich, are you surprised that Walker got in? And do you take the Jeter one vote short kind of similar to we do, or do you have any different thoughts on that?
So I'll go in reverse order. I am delighted that Larry Walker got in. He deserves to be a Hall of Famer. He was one of the best players in baseball when he played for an extended period of time. I was surprised in that it seemed, like you said earlier, that the last minute balloting was trending in the wrong direction. So there was a little bit of surprise. And of course, you have to be more than a little surprised when somebody doesn't get in for so long. It's very difficult to get into the Hall of Fame. But what's cool about getting into the Hall of Fame is it doesn't matter whether you get in by the quote unquote skin of your teeth. And by the way, 3 out of 4 is hardly skin of your teeth, right? Getting that 75%. Whether you get in by 75% or 99% or 100%, like Derek Jeter did at 99 point whatever, right? Because they're both in the Hall of Fame. And that's what's awesome. Because you know what? When I was watching those two play, like I said, they were two of the best players at the game. And to me, the Hall of Fame is for players that whenever they were on the field, you just looked at them and you knew, right? You had that feeling that who you were watching was somebody special. And the 1% vote, I don't want to be dismissive of it because it does matter to people that care about this thing. It's not something that I concern myself with. It's good that he got in by an overwhelming ballot. Everybody knew he would. He's Derek Jeter. He's the captain. He won all those World Series. He tortured my team whenever they played, most notably in the World Series in 2000, right? So he played for the team that just continually pushed my Mets into the other room, made them sit at the kids' table. But Derek Jeter's a legend, and 99%, 100% doesn't matter. He's in, and he should be.
And that's the thing is, I agree 100% on the unanimous thing. To me, the only purpose it serves is an MLB Network talking point constantly. It's all they talked about in the 72 hours leading up to the announcement. It's all that was talked about in the weeks ahead towards the announcement. To me, again, if you're not going to go, like, you look at, like Paul said, the lists of names of people who were not voted in unanimously, because here's the thing, the writers who vote for this, they're people. They all have different end games. They all have different goals. Some of them vote with the spirit of electing the 10 best people. Some of them vote in a certain way to elicit clicks on their respective companies' websites. That's the way it's going to be. That's the way it's going to continue to be. I'm a firm advocate that I would like to see baseball use a model like other professional sports use, where they do not release public ballots, they do not release voting. The NHL just says, hey, these 4 guys, they're going in the Hall of Fame. There's no, they got in with this percent. It's a they got in or they didn't get in. And it's one of those things, right? Um, so Derek Jeter gets in 396 out of 397 votes. Walker, I mean, I was a very firm advocate of Larry Walker, not only because he's Canadian, the first Canadian position player to be elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame, second Canadian overall, joining Fergie Jenkins, not because he played for the Expos, because he deserved to be in there, is most of all. So let's take a look at, obviously, the next 4 guys are 4 very polarizing Hall votes. Schilling at 70%, Clemens at 61, Bonds at 60.7, Vizquel at 52.6. So now, Paul, I know you're kind of a similar vein of me with, the quote unquote steroid guys.
Mm-hmm.
With Schilling, Clemens, and Bonds having 2 years left on the ballot, do you think they get in? Which of the 3 do you think they get in, or none at all?
Schilling's darn near guarantee next year. I think he just missed this year, and I think with the way everything has trended, and obviously, I think people are understanding. Okay, he was pretty terrible on online after his career, but I don't know that that's a reason to keep him out. Is he a clown? Probably, but was he a Hall of Fame player? I think 100%, to be quite honest. I think Schilling absolutely belongs in, and I believe he's going to get in. So I think he's in for sure. As far as the other 2, Bonds and Clemens, they're trending pretty well. I think they actually took a little dip this year. I'm uncertain right now as to whether or not they're actually going to get in. It's going to take a little bit of a boost. They're going to have to find a contingent that they can sway. They being the folks who believe he should be in, like us. So we, even though we don't vote, I would say we on the internet are going to have to find a contingent that we can sway. For me, the thing that's, first off, they belong in just in general based on their numbers. They never were suspended or anything. If you want to keep suspended guys out, I get that. But if Bud Selig's in, the guy who oversaw the steroids era, there's no way I'm leaving Clemens and Bonds out. I'm not letting those 2 guys wear the entire era when there are guys in who almost certainly used PEDs, or definitely did, 100% did, but also who almost certainly used steroids as well. And I love the people who try to make a difference between what kind of cheating is okay. Like amphetamines back in the 60s and 70s are fine, but PEDs of the 80s, 90s, and the thousands, that's a real problem. Yeah. Those people are hilarious. So they absolutely belong in, but I think they're going to be very close right up to those final 2 years.
My biggest thing, and this was a conversation I was having offline today, with no big names coming on the 2021 ballot, there's really nobody getting added to the 2021 ballot that is a surefire first ballot Derek Jeter type. Are the writers going to be apprehensive that they may get a class where Schilling gets inducted by himself and gets the stage to himself, and the whole weekend is about Curt Schilling? See, that's the thing, right? In this system where we have a clear divisive line in the sand between, I don't know what you want to call them, but between different groups of writers, anti-PED, pro-PED, anti-Curt Schilling because of what happened after his career. Are some writers going to pull their support because they are scared of a Schilling-only class? Because that's kind of what we're looking at. And then in their last year of eligibility, well, that's A-Rod's first year. The entire ballot's going to be about A-Rod. All the publicity is going to be about A-Rod. So really interesting to see. Schilling, he's right there. I mean, he's, 20, less than 30 votes away from getting in. So it's really interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see as we get into next year. And Schilling at this point, I would have to say, would be the one to watch on the 2021 ballot. Going to be interesting to see.
I think they could avoid that sort of scenario, though, where he's kind of solo, because I think there is a decent bit of love for Vizquel I'm
Yeah.
not a huge proponent of his candidacy, but he's got 53%. He's probably going to move up because, like you said, this cleared out the ballot a bit, getting two more guys
Yeah.
off, and literally nobody being added on next year that's worth it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mark Burley,
Well, I
who
think
I believe is.
I think Tim Hudson has the highest Hall of Fame metric of all the people joining next year, and he's
Okay, and
not really close.
yeah, and I think Mark Burley with the highest WAR.
Yeah.
So between those two things, that they're no chance. No offense to either of those guys, quality pitchers for a long time. So that opens up the door to really focus on, okay, Schilling's probably going to get there, but then you add in Vizquel. Roland's been trending very nicely, took a big jump this year. Gary Sheffield only really has never mind. He does have the full on. He never got suspended, but he does have the deal of like with bonds, use the cream and the clear or whatever those things were. Wagner, I think, can go front and center and really start to be looked at and get the Tim Raines, Larry Walker internet treatment next of like, yes, it was only 900 innings, but reliever is a position, and he was arguably the best left-handed reliever ever.
Yeah.
And so I think they can avoid the Schilling. Your point is well taken, though, about him being soloed, but I think they can avoid that with Vizquel, Roland, Wagner, and then, of course, Bonds and Clemens still looming as well.
Yep. Okay, Rich, I'm going to put you on the spot with some yes or no questions. I'm going to give you some names. Do you think they get in? Curt Schilling.
Yes.
Roger Clemens.
Yes.
Barry Bonds.
Yes.
Vizquel.
Yes.
Okay, so those are the four guys, and I tend to agree. I think at some point, I think it's probably a given that the swell behind Vizquel probably gets him there, and the fact that he has 7 more years on the ballot helps him as well. And yeah, I think Schilling, Clemens, and Bonds absolutely deserve to be in there. That's my personal opinion. I don't look down on people who have differing opinions. That's the great thing about the world that we live in, is that we can have differing opinions and we don't have to hate each other. But there's no like you said, Paul, with people being suspended and not being suspended, like there's different ways to draw the line. For me, there's no clear-cut way to say, hey, these guys ruined the integrity of the game by doing a thing that they were never actually caught doing. Like there's so much gray area.
Yeah.
And I think in that next group, I think Scott Rowland is a Hall of Famer. To me, I think you could make a case that Rowland and Vizquel are very similar. Again, Vizquel has that extreme longevity. He's got over 3,000 more at bats. But Rowland was so good defensively for so long at third base and on my perfect team. But he's been so good. I think Wagner deserves to be in there. I think Sheffield, unfortunately, might end up being the PED poster boy that gets left behind. Even with 500 home runs, I think, sadly, Sheffield is going to be one of those guys. I just think with 4 years left, I don't think he's going to get there.
I do.
Well, here's the thing.
I do.
But and it's like Paul's point, right? With no surefire people jumping on, anything can happen. It's going to be who does the baseball universe come behind? Who do the writers sway towards? And then you look at that next group with Helton, Manny, Kent, Andrew Jones, who is criminally underloved in the Hall of Fame voting. You got Sammy,
for sure.
You got Andy Pettitte, and you got Bobby Abreu, all going to continue on the ballot next year. Paul, any of the guys who fell under 5%, any of those surprise you?
Not really. Maybe one who would get something of a look, and I think it's very, very flimsy at that, but who was probably better than most recognized is Jason Giambi. He was really, really good. Obviously, there's a lot of representation of first base. He's got PEDs as well, but he's one of the guys like Pettitte who has PEDs, but basically just said sorry and got to move on, and really never really caught any more flack for it. So maybe some of these other guys could have learned from those two, because Pettitte right there, as far as his case isn't as strong, but it'd be interesting to see if Pettit maybe had a Clemens career, and then you have one guy who ate it, said I'm sorry, and moved on, and everyone kind of forgave him, and one guy who vehemently denied it despite evidence so much to the contrary in Clemens. And it'd be interesting to see if Pettit got in and Clemens didn't. But no, I don't think any of the one and dones are like true are like true obvious guys as far as getting in.
Yeah. Rich, any of the guys who missed out, any of them surprised you in any way?
No, I can't say that. I just think that I think we're going to see a dramatic shift towards. Well, I mean, I said yes to all those players and a couple more. I think we're going to see a significant shift over the next few years. I have a hunch that a lot of these low numbers will flip and get the players in.
Yeah. I have to say, to me, Alfonso Soriano being one and done was kind of surprising, considering he had 400 home runs and for especially the earlier part of his career played a premium non-power position. Couple of, I think he definitely had 140-40 season, might have actually had two or came really close, I think, a second time. I'm kind of surprised Soriano was one and done. And I agree with Paul. I think Giambi a little bit surprising, but again, given the glut of first baseman on there now, it's really not surprising. I think you end up with those guys, the one vote guys: Adam Dunn, Brad Penny, J.J. Putz, Raul Ibanez even got himself a vote, guys. That was, I don't know who he paid, but he paid somebody to vote for his case. But it'll be very interesting to see how we move going forward with a very, very eclectic ballot next year. And then obviously 2022 is going to be the year of A-Rod, and we're going to see what happens there. And man, oh man, it could be
A-Rod's first year with Bonds, Clemens' final year. How wild is that? But again, with A-Rod, you have the suspended versus the other two guys that are heavily speculated as opposed to proven. And again, pretty proven. Like Chad's right now talking about Pudge, Bagwell, and Piazza. Those guys are really just wearing like a speculation cloud. Whereas there's stuff on Bonds and Clemens that while they did not fail an MLB test, you'd have to be pretty naive to say that they did not use anything.
Yes. Well, let's worry about 2021 and 2022 another day. Let's move on to the class of 2020, starting with the one player who was elected by the Veterans Committee, and that is Ted Simmons. His card is now displayed on the screen. Simmons was active from 1958 to 1988 with the St. Louis Cardinals, the Milwaukee Brewers, and the Atlanta Braves.
Oh my God, I need that card.
A 285-348-437 slash line, 248 home runs, 1,389 RBIs, 1,074 runs scored, 2,472 hits, and a 50.3 career wins above replacement, an 8-time All-Star, and a 1-time Silver Slugger. His card at a 100 overall, perfect. Has 99 contact, 97 gap power, 90 power overall, 62 I, and 85 avoid Ks. Gentlemen, you have to put Ted Simmons in the conversation as one of the best perfect team catchers at this point. And if I don't, is Simmons a switch hitter by any chance?
He is indeed.
Oh, baby.
He is indeed. What a card. First off, I got to echo the chat. Beautiful artwork, incredible. And I've always marveled at what the team's able to do. Obviously, they don't have the ability to use like Topps cards the way MLB The Show does, or even the players themselves, except on live series. And yet they still kill it with the artwork. I really love it. Obviously, the one thing you're giving up here is some defense. And I know some folks really won't use anybody that isn't like 95 defense or better behind the dish. That's fine. I get it. But in the trade for that, you're getting such amazing offense here. That is so much blue. And I really like it here. And of course, if you're a switch hitter, fiend like I am, then it's a next level jump there for you, and you can overlook some of that defense, maybe get a strong backup defensively, and maybe even throw him at first every once in a while to get your strong defensive catcher back there behind the dish, maybe 2-3 times a week instead of just the one.
He is very, very, very solid for sure. Big shout out to Daniel. Daniel, guys, is responsible for every single card design you see in Perfect Team is done by one guy. We've shouted him out on the stream before. Big ups to Daniel for continuing to give us some top flight card graphics. By the way, chat, I've seen some of the PT21 card designs, and they are hot fire. Rich, what do you think of this Ted Simmons card? He would make your team, I assume.
He would make my team. I've got a good team. I've got a legit team, and he would make my team. And I play in the perfect leagues, and I would be delighted with this card. What was interesting, what struck me about Ted, about this card, about Simmons, is I was speaking with Kevin Kennedy on the Kevin Kennedy show, and he was a huge fan of Simmons. So he had a lot of great things to say about how how much of an influence that he was. So it's a beautiful card, and I would love to have him on my team.
Nice, very nice. By the way, guys, Rich is going to be live after this stream with his Perfect Team stream, his community helped, community led, community aided Perfect Team squad.
Community driven.
Let's
be honest. Let's put it out there. They drive the bus. I'm just along for the ride, but it's awesome. I love it.
There you go. So Rich is going to be live right after this show, so make sure you guys stick around for that. He's probably going to pull all of these cards. Now, by the way, chat,
that would be so nice.
I have alluded all week, mostly in the last 24 hours, that we were going to have some special breaking news on the stream, and this is the point of the stream where we're going to reveal that news, because, ladies and gentlemen, I am very happy to announce the Perfect Team of the Decade Tournament Series.
Boom.
The Perfect Team of the Decade, by the way, if you guys missed Perfect Team of the Decade, it was our December 23rd. Somebody wants the horns? We'll get the horns in there. The Perfect Team of the Decade was announced just before Christmas. It is an 11-card set. Well, guess what? We are doing an entire tournament series dedicated to the Perfect Team of the Decade cards. They will all be 128 team tournaments of all shapes and sizes. Yes, there's an iron tournament. There's a bronze tournament. There's going to be best of 7 tournament. There's going to be best of 1 tournaments. Round robin. There is all shapes and sizes. There will be a tournament for every roster configuration that you can find. They will be kicking off this upcoming Monday, January 27th. And the top prize will feature one of the Perfect Team of the Decade cards, and that includes Mike Trout. Every single one of the Perfect Team of the Decade cards will get their own tournament. Buster Posey, Miguel Cabrera, Robinson Cano, Troy Tulowitzki, Adrian Beltre, Mookie Betts, Andrew McCutcheon, Mike Trout, Clayton Kershaw, and Craig Kimbrell. Yes, I remembered them all right off the top of my head. I don't have them written down. Each one of them will get their very own tournament. Second place in each tournament will be worth 20,000 perfect points apiece. And third and fourth place in the tournaments will be worth 5,000 points apiece. We will be getting those tournaments added, hopefully, in the next day or so you guys can start signing up for them. Keep it locked to the Discord and to the Twitter and to the forums. We'll get it posted there as soon as they're available, but you guys will probably be in there refreshing the tournament menu. So if you have wanted a chance to win yourself a Perfect Team of the Decade card, well, guess what? You're going to get your chance to win one instance of all 11 of them as part of the Perfect Team of the Decade Tournament Series. I see lots of hype in the chat. This was This was something that we wanted to do right after we announced the cards. We decided to wait until now to roll them out. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be following them very closely. I wish you all good luck. They are all rigged.
It's going to be amazing.
They are all rigged in Sporer's favor. Just so you guys know. I'm kidding, but yeah, he gets preference for sure. Now we will continue. So, for those of you who don't follow me on Twitter @SnaggleJ, by the way, you probably should. Close personal friend of the show and video game sales ratings NPD group affiliate Matt Piscatella posted a comment the other day about wanting Larry Walker to get into the Hall of Fame simply so that we could hear him be inducted into the Hall of Fame in French. And me, being the fine, upstanding Canadian citizen that I am, and happening to know a little bit of French myself, made the deal that if Larry Walker got into the Hall of Fame, that I would induct him into the Perfect Team Hall of Fame in French. I practiced earlier, and I have to admit it's pretty good. Donc, maintenant, le joueur de champ droite, numéro 33, Larry Walker, ladies and gentlemen, played for the Montreal Expos, the Colorado Rockies, and the St. Louis Cardinals between 1989 and 2005. 313, 400, 565 slash line with 383 home runs, 1,311 RBIs, 230 stolen bases, 2,160 hits, 1,355 runs scored, and 72.7 wins above replacement. He was
gimme.
What's that, Paul?
Gimme. I'm just going to keep saying gimme.
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 The 1997 National League Most Valuable Player, 7-time Gold Glove winner, 3-time Silver Slugger, and a 5-time All-Star. Look at this card. Look at the card, chat. 112 contact, 106 gap power, 92 power, 79 eye, 72 avoid Ks. Obviously, right hand heavy on the splits, 114, 107, 96. Holy moly. Yeah, no, Jeter's definitely going to be a 99 overall for the memes, chat. Come on. 57 speed, 81 stealing, 80 base running, 89 rating in right field with the 75 range, 87 error, and 82 arm. I'm going to throw it to Rich because I know his jaw is currently laying on his desk, so I'm going to force him to pick it up and give me some thoughts on Larry Walker's Hall of Fame card.
Yeah, this is as good as it gets right here. This is spectacular, and I'm going to do everything I can to pull it on stream tonight because I want it. Like Paul's over there saying, "Gimme," I'm saying, "Gimme." This card can do some damage for you, which is exactly what this kind of a Larry Walker card did in real life when he was spraying the ball all over the place and playing some solid defense too.
Yes, some very good defense. Obviously, the 7 Gold Gloves. Walker announced. Listen, what a legend, right? Dude gets inducted into the Hall of Fame finds out what he's wearing, a SpongeBob SquarePants racing shirt.
Yes.
And then at the conference yesterday with Jeter, he makes a comment about the cream-colored baseball Hall jersey, and then Jeter says he preferred the SpongeBob jersey instead, which is just absolute. What a legend, man. He admitted that he was following the process throughout the whole thing. He was locked on the Twitter, reading the blogs. He was following his case very closely. In fact, about 3 hours before before the ballot was revealed, he actually tweeted that he thought he was going to fall short. That, based on his research, he was pretty sure he wasn't going to make it. And lo and behold, I'm not going to lie, chat, I got a little misty-eyed when because I was watching it online, and I was trying not to pay attention to my Twitter feed, which is obviously a little faster for people who were watching it on network television. And I could see out of the corner of my eye, my tweet deck just moving faster than I could see, and I knew something had happened. And when the guy whose name I can't remember from the baseball hall, I'm sure Paul knows his name probably right off the top of his head.
I actually don't. I don't know him. I know the guy who always announces the awards, but I don't know. I didn't know that guy.
When he steps up and he said we have 2 inductees, I
Mm-hmm.
lost it instantly. Like I was just like so good as a Expos fan, as a Canadian, as just a baseball fan. Like how do you not like Larry Walker? I mean, he's such a likable guy. He was a likable guy when he played. He's been a likable guy, post career. Just absolutely amazing. What he did in Montreal, especially what he did in Colorado, maybe to a lesser extent what he did in St. Louis later in his career. But we are very happy to immortalize Larry with this 100 overall peak card. Go ahead.
Were you not at least a touch worried when they said too that it could still be Schilling? Because that I briefly said that as I was waiting. I got excited too because I was really holding out hope, hoping that Walker was going to make it. But I was like, wait a minute, it could still be Schilling. Then he said 5 Tool, and then the hammer dropped after that.
For me, as soon as he said 2, I blacked out. I never thought Schilling for a second. And what that would have been like for me would have been like the most crushing thing, because I remember last year, and we talked about this on the show, I remember distinctly how nervous I was for Doc.
Mm-hmm.
And, with the circumstances, surrounding Doc, with his passing and his first year on the ballot, and a lot of people saying, well, he's going to get the quote unquote sympathy vote. And maybe it's not so much based on merit, and maybe it's more just based on the fact that he died tragically, so close to his career. And I remember how nervous I was for Doc, being a Jays fan. I was
a bad take, by the way. The idea that he doesn't deserve.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to obscure what you're saying
No,
here,
no,
but yeah, what a terrible take just in general.
Yeah. And I was exponentially more nervous for Larry, simply because of the fact that I knew it was his last chance.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to Tim Raines. I'm so happy that Larry's going to get to take his place with Tim Raines. I know they didn't overlap a whole lot in Montreal, but there was a few seasons where they were there together. But yeah, like just for me, I was so nervous, and I was convinced that he was going to miss. I was convinced that he wasn't going to get in. And just like I was so happy that he was able to get in there. And now we were able to, because I really wanted to do this part, chat. I don't actually care that he's in the Hall of Fame. I just wanted to have the card, because I knew we had the cards designed a couple of days before, and I knew how good it was.
We
and
did.
I'm like, we need Larry to go in.
Yes.
Because
So
this card is a god.
That was a rough couple of days, I tell you.
Was his pending Hall of Fame potential why there isn't already like a really strong Larry Walker this year?
No, not really. I wish I could say we had that much foresight at the beginning of PT20, but it was just one of those. I think as the year went on, we consciously kept Jeter and Walker's top cards out at the beginning of the year. Like, for example, Ted Simmons had a 100 tournament reward released like 2 months ago. Right. But with Jeter especially, and Walker to maybe a little bit of a lesser extent, we knew there was the very strong possibility that they were going to get into the Hall of Fame. So like, I think starting in the summertime, we consciously started pulling the reins back just a little bit. And like I said, it's going to be very difficult, because when you look to 21, Schilling and Bonds and all those guys have top 100s in the game already. I don't think Schilling's is a 100. I think it might be a 99, or maybe Schilling's is up to a 100 this year. But either way, speaking of 100, chat, it is now time to open the giveaway for 100,000 perfect points. Somebody in the chat is walking away with 100,000 perfect points in their account at the end of this stream. To enter, simply type !ticket into the chat once only. You can only enter one time, and we will draw it at the end of the stream. So now, while I gave Larry Walker the fantastic French introduction that I only practiced once, I don't think I could do Derek Jeter justice. So I found a Bob Shepard clip from shortly after his passing from the 2010 All-Star game that they used in, I believe it was in Los Angeles, Anaheim. And they played this clip to introduce our third and final Hall of Famer.
Now batting for the American League from the New York Yankees, the shortstop, number 2, Derek Jeter. Number 2.
So there you have it, folks. The almost unanimous Hall of Famer Derek Jeter spent his entire career with the New York Yankees. No, he will not have Miami Marlins on his Hall of Fame plaque. Somebody asked me that yesterday. Will we give Jeter a peak Miami Marlins card? No, we will not. From 1995 to 2014, Jeter hit 310, 377, 440 on the slash line with 260 home runs, 1,311 RBIs, 358 stolen bases, 1,923 runs scored, 3,465 hits, and 72.4 wins above replacement. A 5-time world champion, a 5-time gold glover, a 5-time silver slugger, the 1996 American League Rookie of the Year, a 14-time All-Star, and the 2000 World Series MVP. Checking in with 109 contact, 85 gap power, 68 power overall, 64 eye, 57 avoid case. A little bit left hand heavy on the splits. You see 11 points higher in the contact, 15 points higher in the power, 65 speed, 80 stealing, 83 base running, 77 position rating at short with 84 range, 93 air, 72 arm, and 61 turn double play. Gentlemen, thoughts? Whoever jumps in first can have it.
I think it's well done here, and I don't think the defense was like overly gassed. 77 seems fair, and he didn't make a lot of errors. I think if anything it's the range maybe, because that's part of why he didn't have a ton of errors, because he couldn't really get to anything. But that's fine. This is a Hall of Fame card. A little extra juice I don't think is out of bounds there. And the weak arm and the turn double play, you're gonna feel that if you use him. I imagine some folks will probably try to move him in a second. Very fair card, very solid card. No matter what you think, you can want to, detract from him based on the defense. But if you don't acknowledge that Derek Jeter was an icon, a fantastic hitter, really, really strong in the most pressure-packed moments, then you're just deluding yourself.
Rich?
Yeah, this is the kind of card that you can do a lot with. And it really doesn't matter what league you're in or what kind of tournament. Well, it matters what kind of tournament you're in, clearly with the tiers. But if you don't have at this point sort of your best team assembled, this guy will play for you and contribute for you at every single step. And if you are competing at the high levels, right, he will absolutely be the kind of guy that you can, if he's not your starter, right? If you have a end game, shortstop or second baseman, he is still a guy that can be a great pinch hitter, a great, late inning guy who can do a lot of different things. And in tournaments, especially, you get him in the right slot, you get him hitting against the right kind of pitchers and things like that. This is a great card. It's a beautiful thing.
I tend to agree. Now, Rich, as a lifelong staunch Mets fan, if you pull this Jeter on stream, will you quick sell him?
I do what the community tells me to do.
No, that's it. We'll leave it right there, chat. You guys all heard that. Make sure you guys stick around at the 10 o'clock hour to make Rich quick sell peak Hall of Fame Derek Jeter. If he happens to pull one in a pack, man, there's no way you could quick sell this card, I don't think. And again, the versatility that he's going to provide you within the training metrics, I already see people running it through their training calculators. He's going to train up to I see someone saying a 90 at second, maybe a 100 plus at first. Can play all around the infield. Is going to be, very, very good contact. There's going to hit for a very high average. A very, very cool card. By the way, guys, if you have not gotten in on the draw yet, if you are just getting here, you got about 2 minutes. Exclamation point ticket in the chat. We're giving away 100,000 perfect points to one person. If you've been here and you haven't done it yet, what are you doing? So there you have it, folks. Our Call to the Hall content set honoring our 3 brand new Hall of Fame players, Derek Jeter, Ted Simmons, Larry Walker. All 3 of these cards are available in packs now. Again, as always, if you bought packs prior to the stream, you haven't opened them yet, that's okay. The cards in your packs are only generated when you actually go to open it, not when you buy it. And also keep in mind, guys, that right now, perfect points are on sale. If you guys want to go on a little perfect point spree and you don't happen to win the 100K here in a few minutes, well, guess what? You can pick up perfect points at a discount in the shop only until 1 p.m. Eastern on Monday. It's a quick little 4-day sale. Don't miss out. Historical packs are back in the game as well. So as we get towards the end of this thing, Paul, do you have any general Hall thoughts, kind of, takeaways from this year, maybe some moving forwards as we move towards the next ballot?
I think the electorate is getting smarter. I know they called the roll a long time ago, getting rid of some folks who just didn't really have any even tangential relation to baseball anymore. And as the younger group starts to get toward their 10 years in the BBWAA, I know my boy Saris is 2 years away, among many others. I think it's going to get even sharper. And keep in mind, things like WAR aren't an end-all be-all, but they're a great conversation starter, and they really get the ball rolling as far as with career especially. It's hard to have a great WAR over an entire career and it not be justified into, putting you into the Hall of Fame conversation. And I just like that a lot more people, even some of the older sect that votes or fans like us that fake vote, are more aware of numbers and not just going off the eye test or going off batting average only, because it's not about just having an opinion or whatever. Everyone can have their own opinion, but you should want to have an informed opinion. An opinion can still be wrong, even though anybody can have one. So, if you're saying like, Omar Vizquel is better than Derek Jeter, I'm not sure that just falls under, well, that's my opinion. It's a completely wrong one. So I do like that folks have really taken the initiative to get smarter about baseball. And I think we're going to continue to see that with the Hall of Fame. And these next few years, as we already outlined with a lot of the big time PED guys, it's going to be really interesting.
Rich?
So I think it's easy and common, frankly, for the people to criticize the Hall of Fame, the Baseball Hall of Fame in particular. I love the Baseball Hall of Fame. I think it represents everything about baseball, both positive and challenging. It was really the first of its kind. Mm-hmm. I believe it's the best of its kind. I believe that it's really amazing that no matter how many people get in, it's always going to be such a microscopic percentage of the players who played the game that it almost doesn't matter so much how anyone gets in, just that they're in, and then you can have the conversation. And that's why I think that, I hope that the conversation shifts a little bit from where it is sort of currently into a, more of a celebration of what is great about baseball. That may be challenging in the years ahead, but I really think that for all the criticisms it gets, the Baseball Hall of Fame gets a lot of things right, and the players that are in it are all deserving, and it's an amazing place.
Yeah. One of the reasons that it does catch so much criticism is that they actually keep people out, unlike the other sports, where they put seemingly a much larger contingent in. And so I think, part of it is because, like you said, you're still talking about a 1% to 2% population here. And so saying somebody isn't a Hall of Famer, but giving them an actual discussion, like Vizquel, right? He gets a lot of hate right now, or not even hate, but his detractors are pretty aggressive on it. We're still saying maybe he's a top 3% player as opposed to a top 1.5%. That's still so amazing. And so, yeah, I think part of it is that they're just a little bit tougher to get into, and I think that's okay. And I'm a big Hall guy, and yet I still think even being a bigger Hall guy, it pales in comparison to like the Basketball Hall of Fame and Football Hall of Fame, which feel like turnstiles, where if you just play X number of years, you're pretty much in.
I think for me, like, it's the personal and the professional side. On the personal side, if you come at the Hall of Fame with an open mind and realizing that everyone is entitled to their own opinion, and just because their opinion is different than yours doesn't mean that they're, the Antichrist and that you must hate them, I think it leads to some really fun conversations. I spurred so many great conversations throughout the weekend and earlier part of this week just by sharing a ballot, which some people thought I actually had a vote, which I appreciate those people. I tip my cap to the people who think I actually have a Hall of Fame vote and signed my ballot Snaggle J, and it still was valid. But anyway, but I come at it from an open mind. I realize, listen, people don't like PEDs. People don't like Schilling because of the things that have happened after his career. I get that. That's your opinion. The great thing about the world we live in is you're entitled to that. But the conversations that we can have around that, and again, we're focusing on the top 1% of baseball players. And you look at what's coming up, we're going to have the very interesting class next year. After that, you're going to have the A-Rod conversation. And then after that, you're getting into the guys. Beltran comes up the next year. And then you have that really loaded class with Beltre and Mauer. And so the next few years of this, and then we're going to be into Ichiro, chat, which Ichiro might be the next guy that we're looking at. Can Ichiro be a unanimous Hall of Famer? Because that conversation, as asinine as it is never going to go away. So I think, for 6 weeks every year, when there's really nothing going on in the world of baseball, having great productive conversations about the top 1% of baseball players, for me, is super fun. On the professional side, I love doing this show. I love being able to showcase the best players in our game with these cool cards. And I really enjoyed doing this with you guys last year, and I know we had a lot of fun doing it this year. And I certainly hope that 360 some odd days from now that both of you will join me again when we hopefully celebrate someone getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's going to be a pretty boring show if nobody gets in.
Book it. We'll be here.
Yeah, we'll be here for
Whoever
sure.
Whoever the Veterans Committee puts in is the headliner.
Exactly. There'll still be something from the Veterans Committee, which I don't know what era they're doing. Frankly, they should almost run back the same ballot they just had, because there were even more deserving folks on that ballot. But it's tough to get that many in when you need 3 out of 4, and I think you can only vote for X number of people.
That is 2021 is today's early baseball. Early baseball is next year.
Oh, I don't know if there's a whole lot from that, but I'd have to read up on it. But we can worry about that later. Right now.
Yeah, you're talking pre-1950. So always a guarantee you're usually going to get a couple of Negro Leaguers on the ballot, usually with the pre-1950 stuff. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how the Veterans Committee does next year. But again, that's next year's problem. Now let's make somebody's 2020 that much more fruitful in Perfect Team. Exclamation point ticket in the chat. You have until the time I drag my mouse over to click the close giveaway button. If you haven't hit exclamation point ticket in the chat, you're missing out on winning 100,000 perfect points. As always, if your name is drawn, please either whisper us right here on Twitch with your Perfect Team username and your team name for confirmation, or the easier, faster way, hit me up in the Discord if you're in the Discord, discord.gg/OOTP, Kris content or community content developer top right corner. DM me the same information. Username, team name. All right, chat. Somebody is about to become Perfect Team rich, and that somebody...
They're lucky I didn't enter it.
That somebody is... Dishney!
Let's
Nice.
go.
Dishnet, my man. Congratulations.
Atta baby.
Dishnet has won 100,000 perfect points. Congratulations, my dude.
That's awesome.
Hit me up in
Yes.
the Discord, and we will get you that shortly after the stream here. Guys,
Great member of the community.
guys, thank you so much for
Better
joining.
buy some Tigers.
Paul, tell everybody what you're up to these days, where they can track you down, what kind of projects you're working on.
Well, things are amping up. You can find me on Sporer, Sporer, both on Twitch and Twitter. Obviously, the baseball season never really stops for me, but everyone's, it's really picking back up for fantasy and everything, as the Super Bowl will be next week. And I consider the end of the Super Bowl, the second that the confetti starts dropping down on the winner, as the official opening of baseball. And so I'm excited. We're about a week away from that. And I'm doing fantasy podcasts and articles 5 days a week over at Fangraphs, talking baseball all the time on Twitch. I'll be live shortly after this. So after you watch Rich for a little bit, come on over and see what I'm up to.
Yes, if there is some sort of medium that covers baseball, chances are Paul Sporer is all over it. Always a big fan of your stuff, and your occasional appearances on the OOTP podcast are always enjoyable. I love Sleeper in the Bus, great podcast as well. You got your finger on the pulse of baseball. So guys, make sure you guys check out Sporer all over the place. Rich, I mean, we all know where to find you, but what are you going to be doing? Rich is going to be live right after we're done. Rich, what kind of things do you got planned for your team tonight?
A lot of good stuff. I'm prepared. I've got a really good team. This is the best shot I've had at a perfect league championship, I think. And you guys will find out why in a little bit. And I've got some card packs to rip open, including some historical packs, which are available right now only until Monday at 1 p.m. And Out of the Park Baseball on sale for just $5 right now. I guarantee you that everyone watching the stream right now has Out of the Park Baseball 20. Thank you for that. I guarantee you everybody watching the stream right now knows somebody that doesn't have it, that for $5 they'd be like, whoa, this is amazing. Tell them, please. That is the way for our amazing.
Yeah, I mean, dive in, get your feet wet with OOTP 20 for $5 until Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern. OOTP 21 is right around the corner.
Keep hanging around this channel.
Yeah. OOTP 21 is right around the corner. So get in on now. Get some practice. Get used to the game. That way you can hit OOTP 21. Hit the ground running when it releases later this spring. And keep it locked, guys. First of all, make sure you guys follow the channel here, twitch.tv/OOTP Developments. We've got multiple nights a week of content, including our flagship program this week at Perfect Team. We've got OOTP streams, FHM streams, Rich Perfect Team streams. And coming up in the month of February, this is going to be your hot spot for OOTP 21 information right here at twitch.tv/OOTP Developments. And again, the historical packs and perfect points are in the game until Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, you can use them for Derek Jeter, Ted Simmons, and Larry Walker, our brand new and final set of content for Out of the Park Perfect Team 20. It's been a wild, year-long ride. As I said on Monday's episode of the show, I appreciate all you guys swinging by here every Monday night. And for these little special one-offs that we do. Paul, Rich, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day, evening, to swing by and chat about the Hall of Fame. Like I said, this was my favorite show for Perfect Team 19 and is immediately my favorite show for Perfect Team 20. And I appreciate you guys swinging by to do it with me.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
And guys, like I said, guys, hang around. Don't leave. Because in just a handful of minutes, maybe not, however long it takes us to take the stream down, and for Rich to go open his thing and hit the button, go grab a drink, grab some chips or a snack, because Rich is going to be here with his Perfect Team. As always, I have been Kris Jardine, a.k.a. Snaggle J, community and content developer for Out of the Park Baseball. And until next time, keep swinging for the fences.